been visitors to this annual event. I spoke with a Christian law enforcement officer who has worked security at the event, and he mentioned that he sees multiple minors there every year. One news report documents a father who brought his 2-year-old daughter to the sex festival dressed in leather bondage gear. When the dad was asked by a newspaper reporter if it was wrong to bring his daughter to such an event, the dad answered, "Every parent has to decide for themselves what is right for them, and I respect that, and we decided that this is right for our children." Exposing a child to acts of sex would rightly be prosecuted as sexual abuse in many states, but at the Folsom Street Fair in California, it has instead been celebrated. I mentioned this disturbing story here in the introduction for one purpose. When you read the term post-truth in this book, you may be tempted to brush it off as an academic term that doesn't really matter. But a dad dressing his daughter in bondage gear and bringing her to witness enacted sexual abuse is one tangible example of where post-truth thinking actually leads a culture, its people, and its youth. When a culture has no truth standard, then every family is free to define its own morality. As we will see in the pages of this book, the post-truth shift of American culture is underway, and this shift will bring with it tangible and difficult consequences for our neighbors, our children, and our grandchildren. Every year, the experts at Oxford Dictionaries pick a word of the year. Recently, they chose post-truth as the single word that best summarizes American and European culture now. They noted that our society now defines truth by feelings rather than by facts. Western society was once founded on truth, but it has now moved beyond it. With its post-truth declaration, the team at Oxford planted a flag, a mile marker between two eras in world history, and it is this shift from one era of history to another that underlies the global and social unrest we now see. In the United States and the West, the previous era was defined by the constant pursuit of truth. That era was an uneven but upward climb toward truth. It lasted more than 1,000 years, from the founding of Oxford University and the other early Christian universities until very recently. Within that era, the pursuit of truth was the light that guided Western scientists, innovators, educators, inventors, and lawmakers to constantly improve the human condition in Europe, the United States, and then the rest of the world. These people were imperfect, but their pursuit of a higher truth beyond themselves produced contributions far beyond their own capacities. Christian-based Western contributions, the following is a fact, not an opinion, have doubled human life expectancy, created widespread literacy, eradicated open slavery, which had been a global norm previously, and birthed the most prosperous era of human history, thanks to Western democracy, modern medicine, the scientific revolution, and mechanizations that have lifted humanity from darkness to light. These world-changing innovations sprouted exclusively from one small focused region of the globe at one focused time in history. Christianized Europe and the nations that exported its Christianized civilization to other parts of the earth, including the United States. In our lifetime, we have likely witnessed the peak of this Western Christianized civilization. It is a vast and complex network, and Western civilization will not collapse overnight. But this much is clear. Western society is now willfully descending back down the mountain of truth, moving willfully away from the very pursuit that produced its wealth and liberty in the first place. Multiple studies, which we will cite in this book, demonstrate that the tipping point of a post-truth shift is upon us. A majority of young Westerners now view reality through a post-truth lens, which is creating a predominantly post-truth society. The post-truth view of reality is set to continue redefining U.S. elections and culture for the next 30 years. It will also play a role in the dramatic reshuffling of global order as the United States recedes from influence and loses its place as the world's largest economy and most powerful military. What lies ahead we cannot say with certainty, but if human nature plays out as it has in previous eras, then my generation, the millennial generation, will find itself surprised by the brutality and consequences of a society severed from the truth. This post-truth breakage is the fault line underlying the earthquakes presently shaking America, Western Europe.